Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for taking time out of their busy schedules to rock and roll with us as we get you caught up with everything surrounding this football team. According to Jordan Raanan of ESPN, he has heard that Mike Kafka is unhappy as the Giants offensive coordinator, and he has heard from a couple of people that he may want out and may not return next year. Also, around the corner, we're going to break down the reports that Wink Martindale and the Philadelphia Eagles have interest in coming together and he being their new defensive coordinator. We'll break that down, but first, make sure you are subscribed to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. We're going to be here all offseason long, and we're going to put out free, informative, entertaining, passion-driven content every single day. We are the only channel on YouTube that covers the Giants that'll have videos every day until week 1 of the 2024 season. So subscribe, turn the notifications on, and help us reach our goal of 45,000 subscribers by the draft. Help us get there. Subscribe right now. All righty, Mike Kafka has a second head coach interview with the Seattle Seahawks. So it may not be a situation where Mike Kafka resigns or the Giants and Kafka mutually part ways. Maybe Kafka could get a job somewhere else as the top shot caller. Also, Kafka has interviewed for the Tennessee Titans head coach job. And also last offseason, he got multiple head coaching interviews. There was also rumors that he may return to college to be a head coach, but it sounds like he does not want to be the offensive coordinator for the Giants going forward. This is what Jordan Raanan of ESPN said. Mike Kafka, the more I hear, the less likely it is, and I know he's still there now. Even if he doesn't get a head coaching job, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants let him out and he ends up somewhere else anyway. He's unhappy. I had heard this weeks ago. At that point, I had heard it from multiple people. At this point, I'm hearing it from 5, 6, 7 people. I had heard on multiple occasions that Kafka's deal was that Brian Daboll was super suffocating. He was overly involved in the offense, if that was possible, even though it's his offense, but really, just in a way, completely undercutting Kafka, who is the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. And we know that Brian Daboll took play calling away from Mike Kafka multiple times. We've also heard that Brian Daboll took over the offensive meetings throughout the year and started to run the show over Mike Kafka. We heard that Shea Tierney, the quarterback coach for the Giants, was the guy that got to call plays in the first half against the Dallas Cowboys. So, look, it's evident to me that Brian Daboll does not trust Mike Kafka. And if that is the case, Brian Daboll should fire Mike Kafka. Why are you employing an offensive coordinator that A, you don't trust to run offensive meetings, and B, don't trust him enough to call plays? Because you showed us twice throughout the year that that did not happen. You started running offensive meetings, and you started taking play calling away from him. You can't play hot potato with the play calling. You either call the plays or I'm calling the plays. If you don't believe in him, Brian Daboll, why is he here? You don't believe in him. He doesn't like working for you. Just break up already. It's okay. Move on. And on top of that, it's not like the 2023 New York Giants offense was great. In fact, they are one of the worst offenses in National Football League history. Is that due to injuries? Yes. Is that due to having 3 different quarterbacks play? Yes. But at the end of the day, there were like 20 teams this year that operated for a large part of the season with the backup quarterback. And they weren't the worst in every single offensive statistic across the National Football League. Daboll, you clearly don't believe in him. Move on. Find someone that you believe in and also someone that can work with you, because it sounds like not many people want to. Jordan Raanan also said this, quote, I know of at least a handful of people on the coaching staff who weren't happy or completely disliked Brian Daboll this year. That's just not healthy. The Giants cannot operate like this. You cannot operate in the National Football League when none of the assistant coaches, none of the coordinators like to work for head honcho. Brian Daboll, it was cool when you won a playoff game, but at the end of the day, you're the head coach of a football team that is going to be picking 6th in the draft, and you only had one good season as a head coach. You can't walk around mother effing everybody when you've only done it 1 year. It's unacceptable, and quite frankly, you need to look in the mirror and figure out who you are and who you want to be. I also think that you should sit down with Tom Coughlin. Thing is, I think that John Mara burned the bridge with Tom Coughlin, but this reminds me of the 2007-2008 season where Tom Coughlin almost got fired. But he sat down, he looked in the mirror, and he said, I'm not going to be this drill sergeant anymore. I'm not going to be the over-the-top guy anymore, get in your face screaming, rah, rah. I'm not going to be an asshole anymore. And what happened the very next season? The New York Giants won a Super Bowl. And what happened 3 years after that? The New York Giants won another Super Bowl. Not saying if Daboll talks to Coughlin that will happen. But I think it would benefit a young head coach to speak with a guy who is an NFL lifer and has accomplished things that you pray, wish, and dream you could, and figure out what he did to change, because he was in a similar spot as you, Brian Daboll. Nobody wanted to work for Coughlin. Nobody liked Coughlin. Nobody wanted to play for him. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from the New York Giants head coaching legend. What is your confidence level in Brian Daboll as the Giants head coach? Now it's coming out Mike Kafka doesn't like him. We know Wink Martindale didn't like him. We know Thomas McGahee, the special teams coordinator, wanted out. We also know the running back coach from last year left because he didn't like Brian Daboll. What's your confidence level in him as this Giants head coach? Scale it 1 to 10. I do know this. Winning cures everything. But when you're not winning, losing, it makes everything more blown up. And right now, the Giants are a losing franchise. Scale it 1 to 10 for me. Coming up next, we've got reports coming in from NFL insiders that the Philadelphia Eagles are interested in hiring Wink Martindale as their next defensive coordinator. Boy, oh boy, here we go. We'll break that down. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Factor. Go to factormeals.com/GiantsChat50. Use that promo code GiantsChat50, and Factor's going to hook you up with 50% off. If you're looking for fresh, never frozen, chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that can be ready to eat in just 2 minutes in the microwave, check out Factor. They have awesome options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you're on a keto diet, they have that as an option for you. If you're looking for a high-protein option, they've got that. Vegan, veggie, low-calorie, and so much more. The food is awesome, and it'll also keep you on track with your healthy lifestyle goals. If you've tried the whole meal prepping thing and it didn't work out, give Factor a try before you try something else. It's factormeals.com/GiantsChat50. That's factormeals.com/GiantsChat50. And use that promo code GiantsChat50, and you're going to get 50% off. I'll put all that information down in the comments and description of today's show. Support the show. Support the sponsor. Be a real one. All right, is it happening? We told you guys that this was a fear amongst Brian Daboll and the Giants coaching staff, and that is why they did not want to fire him. That's why they wanted to make him resign, because if Wink Martindale resigned, he couldn't coach anywhere in 2024. Well, they agreed to part ways. The Giants don't owe him the $3 million next year, but now he can go coach wherever he wants. And according to NFL insiders, the Eagles have interest. They also just fired their defensive coordinator, Sean Desai, which means they are in the market for a new DC. Could it be Wink? I know this much. Wink Martindale could tell the Giants to go F themselves if he wants to go coach for that team. Because it would be no more, there's no bigger way for Wink Martindale to tell Brian Daboll F you than to quit and then force a buyout and then be allowed to go coach somewhere else and do it for your crosstown rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll say this much, though. I would love to beat Wink Martindale twice in a row, because how funny would it be to see Nick Sirianni and Wink Martindale on the same sideline? When I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team from an outsider in, what do I think they need on the coaching staff? They need experience, and they need adults. And you know who's not an adult? It's Wink Martindale. He's childish. He's a baby. He cries, he whines, and he moans. He did it when in Baltimore. That's why he got fired. He did it with the Giants. That's why he wore his welcome out. You may think Wink Martindale may be a good defensive coordinator for the Eagles. And I think X's and O's wise, he's one of the best in the league. But it's a fragile house that is built right now in Philly. And a guy like Wink Martindale could break that down. We also know Martindale has been linked to Doug Peterson and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wink, he lives in Florida in the summer. Maybe he wants to stay there close. I don't know. But he could also be the next DC for the Jags. Let's make it back to a Giants-focused show. Sean Desai, who was fired as the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator, was a finalist to be the Giants defensive coordinator 2 years ago. Prior to the Giants hiring Wink Martindale, Desai made the final cut as finalist for this job. Who is Sean Desai? A guy that I think could also get an offer to get an interview to be the DC. In 2013 to 2018, he was the Chicago Bears defensive quality control coach. In 2019 and 2020, he was their safeties coach. He was then the defensive coordinator for Chicago in 2021. Then he went and coached for Seattle in 2022. He was their associate head coach and defensive assistant. And most notably in 2023, he was the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. He has not got an interview yet. I'd be shocked if one didn't come. The 4 guys that we do know that have gotten interviews, well, 5 guys up to this point now, include Jerome Henderson, who was the defensive back coach for the Giants, still on staff. Maybe he is an inside option that they could look to hire. Also, the Miami Dolphins linebacker coach, Anthony Campanelli, is a guy that's got an interview. Baltimore Ravens defensive back coach Denard Wilson. Tennessee Titans defensive coordinator Shane Bowen. And interim Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator Derek Ansley is another name that have gotten interviews to be defensive coordinators for the New York Football Giants. I will say this, though. The Giants could also be waiting for Leslie Frazier to become available. Right now, Leslie is going around the coaching carousel interviews trying to land a head coaching gig. He has been unsuccessful so far. He was also a guy that was a finalist to be a head coach for the New York Giants prior to Brian Daboll being hired. Frazier, Daboll, they work together in Buffalo. Frazier the DC, Daboll the OC. They know each other. They have a relationship, and maybe that could come to a spot where he is the defensive coordinator for the Giants. No interview yet, but like we talked about with Desai, I would be shocked if one doesn't come for Leslie Frazier within a week or so. Who do you want the Giants defensive coordinator to be, though? We talked about 6 guys in today's show. Of those 6 guys, let me know, who do you want to be the Giants DC next year? Sound off for me in the comments section. And as always, if you haven't yet, please hit that thumbs up icon. Be a real one. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We'll be live on the channel Monday afternoon. So subscribe, turn the notifications on, and we'll see you then.